Welcome to Cat the Minion YouTube channel. My name is Teresa, but you can call me Cat. This is a video where I'm going to be talking about Christie and some other Black Barbie dolls, African American. Now, I have a lot of gaps in my collection for Christie and Black Barbies, partly because I got rid of a lot of my collection, and that only included maybe one or two dolls that I would like to have for this video. For instance, 1997 Hula Hair Black Barbie, because she had the Asha headmold, and now I don't have one in the 11.5-inch size. And I don't have any Christies from before I think my earliest Christie that I have is from 91. So any before the 1987 headmold came out, I don't have. So I don't have the original Christie headmold. I don't have any that have the Steffi headmold, and I don't have any that have the Hispanic headmold that came out in 1980. But I do have a couple of samples to show. So the Christie, and I probably should have started with this one instead. Christie came out in 1968, I believe. She had her own head mold, although I did hear somebody say that Christie used the PJ head mold, but I was under the impression that PJ used the Midge head mold. So I'll have to get a couple at some point to solve that mystery. Maybe, and there was one Christie that actually did use, live action Christie used the Midge head mold. And then they made a miniature in, I think, 4 or 6-inch scale of the Christie head mold for the rock flowers. They had bendy bodies, and they were miniatures. It came out around 71 or 72. So this is this is 2016 50th anniversary Star Trek Uhura. And the reason that I'm showing Uhura is because without Star Trek and without Uhura, there might not have been enough push in mainstream society to have Barbie have a black friend. And it might have come about because of the civil rights movement anyway. But for everything that Nichelle Nichols went through in being on and staying on Star Trek, I think we owe her a huge debt of gratitude. I shouldn't say we, because I'm like pasty as fuck, but I think without her, we wouldn't have Christie and a long tradition of Barbie having black friends. Some of the dolls are the most beautiful dolls ever, and they're so hard to get because they made fewer black dolls. They were harder to find, especially in white areas like New Hampshire. You know, I always wanted Barbie's friends, and I couldn't get them, partly because I was poor, and partly because they didn't have them in the store. They just did not stock them. And they would put like 1 to a case of 12 or 24 for a lot of Barbie's black friends. So my collection is missing them in part because they were hard to get, and in part because they're more expensive when you do find them. So I just wanted to give some props to Nichelle Nichols in Uhura, and this look that she has would have been from about the time that Christie came out. But she would have had a very basic doll face. But just imagine. Now, Black Francie came out before Christie, like a year before Christie. And she used just the regular Francie mold. But as far as I understood, Christie had her own face. When they made Christie in the styling head, they used Barbie's face. So they used the twist and turn Barbie face for styling head Christie, and they used the Superstar Barbie for Superstar Barbie styling head, and they used Barbie's face for, I think they used Barbie's face for Superstar Christie in both the 11-inch and the supersize and the styling head. And I don't have any samples of those either, because they're also hard to find. So the next major face that they were using, besides Christie's own face, this happened in the 70s. I want to say like mid-70s. My battery's gonna go. So this is the Steffi head mold. It came out around 71, 72. And they were using this face for Barbie's friend Cara in the 70s, C-A-R-A, who essentially replaced Christie in some of the lines, like in Free Moving and the Quick Curl set. They were still using Christie's face in the Malibu Barbie up through, I think, 79, 77, 79, somewhere in that region. But for, I don't remember if Sun Loving Christie had the Steffi head mold or not, but in like 80 and 81, and presumably 82, they were using the Steffi face for Christie. And when Black Barbie came out in 1980, she had the Steffi face. So the Steffi head mold. And then they changed in 1983, I want to say. Around 1983, they started using this 1980 Hispanic Barbie face for, actually it was like 82, I believe. And they started in 82 because they have Twirly Curls Barbie, and it's very hard to tell the Hispanic Barbie. I know we call them Latina now, but in 1982 they called it Hispanic. The Hispanic Barbie and the Black Barbie look almost identical. There's only like a slight difference in the, I think the eye color is like an olive brown instead of a dark brown, and the skin is just a slightly different color, and the hair is a lighter dark brown instead of black. But they were using this head mold for Christie from 1982 through right up through 1987 until they switched to the 1987 Christie head mold. So, and then for Black Barbie as well. So you would see twirly curls, super hair, Peaches and Cream Barbie, is it Magic Moves Barbie? Is that what it's called? A bunch of those. And Dream Date Barbie and PJ and Christie. So they would, all of those dolls, African American black dolls, would have had this face. So in 1987, in Island Fun Christie, they have this new face, which is kind of a modified version of the Superstar face. Right, she's got a broader nose, her jawline is a little different, and I'm trying to pull her bangs up because it's hard to see her face with them. This is Sun Sensation Christie from 1992. Stunningly gorgeous. So she would have been used from, again, starting in 87 and then widely in 88. And she fell out of use right around, I want to say around 1999, 2000. They started using the Asha head mold instead. They've used the Shani head mold for Christie a couple of times, and they've used Nichelle head mold a couple of times for Christie. So Asha and Shani and Nichelle came out in 1991. It was called Shani World of Fashion, and it was supposed to be like a distinct fashion line for African American / black children. They had a guy added a year or two later. His name was Jamal, and they all had individual faces that were like rounded and sculpted to be, I want to say, like ethnically accurate. I don't even know if ethnically is PC, but they were designed to look like real black faces, even more so than this Christie. So they only made Shani for, I think, 3 years. They made it, they had a couple of Soul Train sets. So 2 or 3 years. And then in, let's say around like 2008, 2009, they had another, like a sort of a revamp of that. Called So in Style, which I feel like is really similar. And they had a guy, Darren, and they had a bunch of female dolls who all had the Mbili head mold, which was a collector face that came out in 2001. And I don't think I have one of her. I need to get one. I don't have an Mbili Barbie face. So all of the adult female dolls have the same head for that series, but for Shani, they were individual. They had a partial smile, which was Asha. They had a broad smile, which was Shani, which is like a little bit broader than Christie's smile, and her face was a little rounder. And then they had Nichelle, who had a narrower face, whose mouth was closed. And they've used all of those for Black Barbie and or Christie at some point. So around 2010, I think it started in the Fashionista line. They replaced Christie with Nikki. And Nikki was originally Skipper's friend when they diversified Skipper and gave her a black friend in 1997. All right, so, okay, so in the McDonald's line, in 1993, they added a doll with a twistable head and rooted hair. And I believe they were using the same face for Barbie and for Christie / Black Barbie in those sets. This one has a tiny version of... It's actually more like the Shani head mold, but it doesn't have broad teeth in it, so it looks kind of like a cross between Shani and Nichelle, and I don't have samples of either of those to show because I don't have them. But this one is from around 1997. The face, the actual little doll, is from around 1999 or 2000, so there is roughly the Shani / Nichelle McDonald's face, and the doll is about 4 inches tall, very, very small, very tiny. And I get little. So this is Bead Blast Christie, which was not named Christie in the full size set. Again, I have gaps. So let me go to this 17-inch. This one is from, I think, 2016, and she's taller, so I'm gonna have to move her, I guess. Shimmy her down the stand here if I can. Let's see if I can get this to work how I need it to. Okay. Maybe. Zoom out a little bit. Okay. This, she's still up too high. Just not really helping my cause here. She looks like she's sliding down a stripper pole. I'm gonna have to try this a different way. Okay. We have her seated on a thing. Just have to readjust her because her hair is getting in the way. Anyway, this doll that I'm trying to show is about 2016 or 17. It's an Endless Hair Kingdom 17-inch doll, and she is using a larger version of the Asha head mold. This is she's not really named, she's basically just Black Barbie, but this is the Asha head mold in an oversize. So she's going to be a little bit smaller than supersize Christie would have been in 1977. She looks, it's like a little, her eyes are drawn on enormously, but Asha would have had this face in this size, and she would have been what most of the Christie dolls were looking like in the 2000s. So in 2002, they came out with a collector. Right around the turn of the millennium, too, is when they started making a lot more diversity in terms of Black Barbie faces. And one of them was for Barbie 2002. And this is the face that they made. The new head mold. Alright. So this is a light-skinned one from the Fashionistas line from 2016. And in 2004, she was named Desiree in the Fashion Fever line. So this is the Desiree head mold. And she was only named Desiree once, and then she was largely used from 2010 onwards as Nikki. 2000, yeah. Barbie's friend Nikki from the Fashionistas line and the Dream House and all that. There's a new head mold for Nikki that came out within the last few years, and it's the Mbili head mold, which I don't have, that was popular in that Sew and Style line, and it's been modified so that her mouth is open and she has teeth, and that's essentially what the new Nikki head mold is, that came out with like Princess Travel Barbie or whatever the hell she was called. I don't remember. Within the last couple years. So again, this is the Desiree face. Typically used as Nikki. And I still can't get that to focus right. Her freckles are throwing me off. I should point out too that Asha also came in a couple different sizes of styling head. Definitely in a 12-inch size with hands. But then when she was replaced with this Desiree face as Nikki, that one came in a lot of different sizes. There's a full 12-inch high, roughly 40-inch scale doll size styling head, and then there's the 8-inch styling head, which is also the same as the 28-inch Best Fashion Friend, which is what this is. If I can try to get her ligaments aren't cooperating. Okay, this is the 28-inch size Best Fashion Friend Nikki, who uses this upsized version of this Desiree head mold. I'm working on her, so she's draped in a red stuff right now. And then the original size here. And then just for comparison, this is the 17-inch Asha here. So she's available in this size in a small styling head, which would be about what you can see here, and then she would be available in the larger 12-inch, which has a 6-inch head and would be on a scale of about 40 to 42 inches if it was a full doll. Now, they came out with another new face in the Fashionistas line around 2016 or 17, and the collector version of that head mold, which I guess is just a little bit different or like slightly refined, is called Daya, D-A-Y-A, and I only have her in this 12-inch size. So let me sink this down a little bit. She's stunningly gorgeous. they're using her for all kinds of different ethnicities now. They're using her a lot on Latina dolls. It looks, she's still too close. They're using her on a lot of Latina dolls with a slightly lighter brown skin tone and straight hair. And they're using her extensively for Black/African American dolls with both curly hair and without curly hair. I'm trying to get that organized. It looks really fish-eyed in the lens here. I think that's better. Okay, so this one is what we're calling dye. It came with Cheerful Check Fashionista Barbie was the first one. And just for size comparison, you can see the size there. And compared to this 28-inch here, a lot bigger. And even this 17-inch here, huge. I did have another doll too. So this one, I've seen her as on a white collector edition doll, but usually she's, and then also in those mystery color Barbies that are all painted and you dunk them in water. They use this face for a lot of those as well, for all different colors of skin tone. I've seen her on one or two Asian dolls as well. The first one that came out, Cheerful Check, looked a lot like this, but she didn't have yellow in her hair. Just added that. The Dremel tool. And then I have one other one they've used a couple of times. The Curvy/Daisy Barbie face. And this, I love this doll so hard. Look at this. She is gorgeous. I added that necklace. Let me actually zoom in on her a little bit. There we go. That's better. So a lot of these fashionistas, and like basically every single new Barbie, you're lucky if they've labeled it in any way whatsoever. And they certainly don't give names to any of these friends. They just crank them out, which is both interesting for collecting, even though the articulation is crappy and the clothes are often cheap. But they have a lot of different personalities. So this one here. So I've taken it all the way back to 1974 and decided that this this face with this skin tone in this face should be named Kara, after the friend from the 70s that was using the Steffi face. So I just brought it back around. Like, if they don't, I've gone through and looked at this huge list of different friend names, and just started applying them to different skin tone and face combinations, because I couldn't stand it, and it's hard to keep describing them. So this one is Kara, and then these ones are usually Daya, no matter what they're doing, and these ones are either Desiree or Nikki, depending, and these ones are usually Asha, no matter what. If it was named Christie, if I got one of the Asha Christies, I don't know if I'd call her Christie or Asha. I'd have to find out. But this one is definitely Christie. There actually a gap for a while where I don't think they had any Christies, where they just had, I think they only just had Black Barbie. I could be mistaken, but I feel like there was a few years in the 80s where there weren't any actual Christie dolls. Like from 1984 to 1987, I feel like that happened. So she's had some friends, but not that many. So that's what I have. And as I pick up more of the sizes and different faces, like especially if I get an Mbili or a regular size Asha, then I'll have to, or the Shani. I used to have a Shani. I used to have Sparkle Beach Christie, and she had the Shani face, and I wish I hadn't gotten rid of her because she's like $20 now. 20 or 30 bucks. I think that's it. I've got my sign back here, but I'm just gonna add it in after on the end. So put this on somebody here. If you'd like to get, if you'd like to see more Adventures with Plastic Crack programming, you'd like to help support my channel, please feel free to donate. It's Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo, all Cat the Minion. If you'd like to have goods or services and still contribute to my work, I've got tarot readings, I've got merch and prints and actual art items available. I guess that's it. I've got coloring books, dark poetry, and some other things as well. So check out that link tree, linktr.ee/cattheminion. I am going to be posting the little tile of that sign after the video, so you can see that if you want to see that. And there's also stuff in the description box underneath the video if you want to get it there. Come on, just work with me here, ladies. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, check out my playlists tab, my discussion tab, and stay groovy, and we'll see you later. Bye.